Okay. Good evening, everyone. Can I just remind you that we will use the RTS function, which Alex will be keeping an eye on to keep me in check this evening. Welcome to our meeting of the 26th of May, and we'll have just a minute just to gather our papers and thoughts. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item 1, which is apologies. And I believe we have apologies from Councillor Kitcher. And we will have Councillor Lovell joining us very shortly. Do we have any other apologies for this evening? No, I think we're good there, so we're good to go. On to item 2, we've got declarations of interest and dispensation. I believe, Councillor Wade, we're going to have the dispensations on the planning when you come to that item. Is that correct?
Yes, Chairman.
Thank you. Do we have any other written notes of dispensation?
Councillor Fairhead has an RTS.
No, Chairman, as you just said, it'll come up on planning.
Thank you. Do we have any others? No? Okay, we'll move on then. Thank you very much. So we're going to move to the item 3, the community safety update. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you. I will start with just talking briefly about COVID, our favourite topic. So since the easing of restrictions in the New Forest, we're not actually seeing any issues per se. We've got extra patrols still out and about. We're engaging with the pubs. We're doing joint patrols still with Forestry England. We are obviously, I think the bad weather has helped us because it has kept people potentially not gathering in huge groups, causing issues in the pubs. But now that we can go inside as well, it's more about engagement rather than enforcement. We are planning now for the summer months and also the Euros for football, where we will particularly have extra resources out, because we do find an increase in sort of rowdy behaviour with the football, and also we generally find an increase in domestic abuse. So we will probably have our Aurora New Dawn Commission Services domestic violence patrol car out, where basically police and Commission Services pair up together. So that will be in place on specific nights of the football. So that's it with COVID. So like I said, in summary, no real issues, and we'll continue doing our extra patrols till at least the end of June, and we will see basically what happens on the 21st of June. Antisocial behaviour, yes, there has been a rise in that, and I have had emails from various councillors. Antisocial behaviour generally does go up this time of year. It is seasonal. We see it year in and year out. We are luckier this time because we've got the AXOs who will primarily deal with the antisocial behaviour. We'll do as much as we can, but we've got higher priorities. But again, it's just convincing people not to necessarily email their councillors, but to email or phone in the police 101 or online. And we are still getting much better on the 101 calls. They're being picked up a lot quicker. So it's just encouraging people to phone or email in. If we don't get the reports, we don't really know what's going on, and we are very much led by data and intelligence. where we had no basically engagement with anyone last year, we do focus on our engagement plans for the area, which is basically making sure we link in with youth services, youth clubs, and whatever else is opening up at this time, so that we can get our PCSOs, you know, out and about with the AXOs and linking in where necessary. At the moment, the neighbourhood team is got 5 PCs, but only one PCSO. However, we are getting a new one shortly and another one at the end of the year. So the team then will probably be the biggest it's ever been. But of course, we've got the response team who will answer the 999 calls. Crime-wise, probably across the forest, which also infects Hythe Dibden, we are still seeing, but not as many, theft from motor vehicles, with the catalytic converters being stolen. We have had a couple of good arrests over the forest in the last couple of weeks. So that has disrupted the criminals. They are out on bail at the moment. We are still seeing some burglaries, generally the outbuildings and sheds. Again, they have decreased significantly, but we plead to people that please, you know, think about crime prevention, think about, you know, better locks on shed doors or outbuildings. These villains, and we see this by the Ring doorbell sort of cameras, are in and out very, very quickly. So it is about crime prevention, because a lot of these villains are also opportunists. So if they see an easy target, they will go for it. We have had actual increase in dwelling burglaries, but that again is across the whole of the forest. So we're working on these series. We have got a couple of suspects that we're targeting, but again, you know, lock up your doors and windows and put valuables away. So that's the main issues of the last month. We're also working with Forest for England about any fires or arsons. Again, I don't think they're deliberate. I think it's youths who can now go out and about, going into the forest, you know, taking a disposable barbecue or lighting some firewood and then leaving it to smoulder, and they don't realise the effect that that can have, and then how quickly fire can spread. So we are working with the fire service and also the local shops, because the New Forest has got a ban on disposable barbecues, or any barbecues in the New Forest this year, like they did last year. So we're trying to get the shops to work with us and not sell them, and that is work in progress. So that's the main issues of note. So if there's any questions from anyone, happy to take.
Two RTSs, one from Alan Ferred and one from Melody Roberts, and one from Malcolm Wade.
Right. Can we go to Alan first of all, please?
Not one from me, Chairman.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Right, but straight on to Melody then, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Inspector. I believe you are aware, Inspector, of the problems of antisocial behaviour in Dibden Parish by school children. Councillor Osborne and Councillor Malcolm Wade are going around all the traders to reassure them as much as possible. And we try and solve this problem by going into schools. One particular shopkeeper had eggs thrown at him, and St Andrew's Church has been affected. Excrement has been smeared on the church premises. The offences at the church are disgusting and offensive, as is the treatment of a shopkeeper, and the police need to be seen on the streets in Dibden Parish. When I was a magistrate, I covered the youth court, and as children grow, so do their crimes. Any Christian or non-Christian would be offended, and parents will be informed and ashamed, I'm sure. Press would call it racial and religious crime, and this is children, school children. I suggest afternoon presence of PCSOs and ACSOs with a marked police car to deter them. Would the Inspector like to comment on that?
Right, sorry, was there an actual question about that?
Yes, about police cars being present on the streets and PCSOs and ACSOs, are they being Are they
Well-
walking in Dibden
Well,
Parish?
well, I hope so with the ACSOs, because that's obviously comes under the council. So I'd like to think so. I have one PCSO, like I said, for the whole of the waterside
And that's all.
at the moment. Yes. So, you know, we have to prioritise the incident of the hate crime at the corner shop. That hasn't been reported. Every hate crime we allocate out to an officer who will investigate. A lot of what you've said and told me has not been reported. So, you know, I know people say, well, we don't get through 101. What's the point? Well, the point is, if it's not reported, we really don't know about it. So, you know, we do as much as we can, but we've just got to prioritise. And this is why we've got the AXOs in now, who will take the bulk of the antisocial behaviour away from the police officers.
So you haven't heard about them stealing things from Tesco's to throw at shopkeepers?
No. Well, I have heard about it, but I always throw it back to the people who email saying, okay, we're aware of this, but please, please, please go back to whoever's told you and please report it. Because we cannot deal with incidents that way, because you can imagine how many emails I get. You know, we need a system where things are recorded properly. And that system is that when we click in, I review everything every 24 hours, as do my staff when they're on duty. So, you know, we map things, we prioritise on where things are happen. So we need it reported. And like I said, especially with increasing antisocial behaviour and hate crime is a heinous offence. It's really destroying of someone. So we do investigate those hate crimes. So we need those reported. But the hate crime I was aware of, that hasn't been reported to us.
So you can't act on it if it's not reported to you?
No, because where do we report? I have loads of emails. So, you know, there is a system that we follow, and we have got to get people to report it. And if they're going to report it to the councillors, why not report it to the police?
Because we're easier to get access to.
Well, then, no, you're not. You're not. You know, and this is what we're trying to say. A lot of it's historical. You know, 101, there's online reporting, which is a quick form to fill out.
So, is there a plan coming up for you to go into schools?
No, because we've done that. We've done that before, and actually, the teachers have got a pack that they follow if there's issues, you know, with the school and the children. So that is all built in with the teachers. So school liaison officers went years and years ago.
Thank you. Can we move on to Councillor Malcolm Wade, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. And Inspector Andrews is very patient, because I'm one of the people who bombard her with lots of emails, and she's very patient in her replies. So I thank you for that.
And I do try and answer when I can, don't I, Malcolm, and get the information.
You do, and I do genuinely mean that. She couldn't do more than she's doing. I'm always, and Councillor Osborne, we're always telling people to report on 101, because the police, with their reduced resources, need database decisions. So I just encourage every member to get the public to do 101. Do 101 online. It's easier. I want to make a point and ask a question. Okay, the point I want to make is, in our ACSO report, they talk about the underpass at Whitewater Rise and drugs. There's been drugs taken in that underpass for years and years. I mean, I can think 15 years ago coming
Frozen,
across.
Malcolm.
Oh, so, am I?
No.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can.
Okay. Yeah, that underpass has been a site of drug taking for years and years and years, and we need to get somebody in there at the time when these youngsters are doing it to catch them, and that will help resolve it, I suspect. The question I wanted to ask, actually Melody almost totally stole my thunder, because can we? I'm a firm believer in going into the schools and talking to the kids, to the young people. Sorry. Now, I don't believe that the packs that the teachers have are used effectively, if used at all. And I wonder whether our ACSO and possibly a member of the constabulary, a liaison officer or a PCSO, can go, because we've got to have a problem in Dibden Parish and it's around preschools. So at least we know where the arbitrators of these problems are, and we probably can guess which year groups they're in. So if we could go into to the school, hey, you actually want a counsellor go, I don't know as well. But if somebody could go in and talk to the young people with the teachers there, it may not stop all of it, but it might stop some of it. But at least lets them know they're on the radar. And I'm thinking of the being proactive, which I totally agree with you is the way to deal with a lot of this level crime. I know you think that it doesn't work now, but it did in the past. I'm going back quite a while. It was effective. I just wondered whether you think perhaps revisiting in some format going into the schools might help, particularly as we know the catchment area where these youngsters, and they have caused a problem in Dibden Parish, are coming from. Thank you, Chairman.
Can I just interject there before you answer, Inspector Andrews? I'll just remind councillors that our ACSO team is planning to visit the schools. That is part of what they will be doing. They can't at the moment because it's just not the right time where we are with COVID. But as soon as the measures release a bit more, then they will be going into schools. That is one of the things that they are planning to do. So just so everyone is aware that is part of their plan and getting themselves known in the area. Sorry, Inspector.
Can I just say, I was aware of that, but I was thinking perhaps that going in with the police in partnership might have an even bigger impact. That was all.
Yes, and it possibly could, but like I said, we just don't have the staff at the moment. So your AXOs are just for the Dibden and Hythe area. So, and my staff for the whole of the, say, Waterside, the ones in Hardley. So maybe further down the line, but at the moment, like I said, I've got one PCSO, one shortly to be trained, and another for, further down in the year. So maybe at Christmas, that is a possibility we can look at. But there's a number of schools, aren't there, across the Waterside, and to be quite honest, there's other priorities for us. But if the AXOs come up with a plan and a timetable when they can, and then I'm willing to, have a look at that, or the sergeant is, and we can see when the PCSOs are on duty and potentially, give up a little bit of their time to do that. But if the AXOs sort of lead on it, then we can help where possible.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I believe Stefan is next. Councillor Osborne.
Yes, yes, thank you, Helen. I've got emails coming out of my ears at the moment, people promising me they have reported to 101, some are even giving me their reference numbers, and apparently whatever they complain about will be compiled under that reference number, I understand. One man just said this morning, actually, he emailed saying, this is not just young people hanging around outside shops. These are people that are not afraid. They say to them, call the police, we don't care. They've got no fear of anything and don't fear the consequences. Over the weekend, I think my colleagues were very pleased because I promised I would go around and see the shops because so many of them have experienced something. Again, I reiterated the 101. I also handed out the magnets for ACSO. Everyone stopped and had time to show me what had happened, been on the roof, using ladders, throwing eggs, stealing from one shop, calling the newsagent names, racial names. The church was probably the most shocking in that they went in the afternoon while the play school children were there. And they're very worried, that their bookings will be affected because they rang and got told that they couldn't get any help. So my question, Helen, is we seem to have quite a problem here at the moment. It was known as a lovely place to live and people are saying they're no longer proud to live here. Can I say to you, can we be prioritised for having a PCSO down here and one that stays and gets to know who's who, not leaves us as soon as they get to know the area and what's going on? So that's my question, is please can we be prioritised?
But the thing is, yes, your area is a priority to you and your community, and I'd expect that. but you have got the AXOs where other areas don't. So are we using the AXOs to the best of our ability? Have they actually got a patrol plan, an engagement plan? And we can assist a bit, but you know, that is a priority for you, and we've got lots of those areas. So why?
I can assure you they have. I was out on Saturday. They were out with me. I met them in the street.
Have you seen their patrol plan written down?
Oh no, I'm just saying that they're everywhere. Whenever I go anywhere, they've already been to visit. They're already heading here or there. But the most concerning one was an old lady that's rang me 3 or 4 times. She's got a reference number from 0101. She rings 999. And I think the most concerning thing is that at 3 a.m. she had 2 men standing outside the door. And so she said to me, would I bring it up when I saw you tonight? So she knows I'm going to speak about it.
Okay, so she phoned 999. What date was that and time?
It's just a couple of days ago, just gone.
Can you
night.
Can you email me that information?
I'll relay her reference number, yeah.
But that's sort of different. But what I would say is, first of all, with your AXOs, get them to write down a proper patrol plan, you know, basically saying the time, date, where they're going, what the priority is. They can work with our PCSO, but like I said, you know, that's one person. But where you've got 2 AXOs for your area, they have to be used properly. Them wandering around with no tasking, no patrol plan. And when I say patrol plan, it's got to be a proper written, not, oh, I've gone here, I've gone there, so that they can be used and really utilised. And then we can assist where we can. But, you know, I cannot say to one PCSO for the whole of the waterside, Dibden Purley, you have got to spend most of your time down there. Yeah,
not just Dibden Purley, obviously. When I was canvassing, you know, people just said, what party do we vote for to get more police? That was the only thing.
Well, we have got more police. We've got across Hampshire Constabulary, we've got, I think, 500 more police officers. And actually the neighbourhood team, this by the end of the year, it'll be the biggest that it's been since I've been back in the forest, so a good 2-3 years.
Well, just to reiterate, I've been encouraging, and people promised me they had been ringing 101, Helen, all right? So
good, okay, thank you. And if you email me the time and date the lady phoned with 2 suspicious men outside the house, then I can look at that. So that would have been deployed to.
I think she was through to the Isle of Wight.
Thank you, Inspector. We'll follow up your suggestion there. I'll talk to Sue, the clerk, in due course. Thank you.
I know the AXOs liaise with our PCSO, so you know, and they do and try and work together. So, but you know, with the police officers, we have patrol plans, so it would be nice to extend that to the AXOs.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Moving on to 3B, this is just for noting. Because
sorry, Chairman,
yes.
You have RTSs from myself and Councillor Rebecca Clark.
Thank you. Councillor Alex Wade, please.
Thank you very much, Inspector, for coming this evening. With the numbers that, as I say, that you currently have 1 PCSO and 5 PCs, taking into account, obviously, you're data driven and obviously have to go where the 101 reports and the 999 reports lead. But outside of that, how generally would you say your officers are patrolling in, for example, the parish and specifically Dibden Purley at the moment compared to, say, the other areas that you cover? I know generally that there have been issues in Holbury and Hardley with some burglaries and crime. So I appreciate we're not the only place suffering at the moment, but I just want to know, sort of, as part of the wider area that you cover, how long in a week, say, are you spending in Dibden Purley?
I can't give you that figure, because if take, for example, it all depends on what's happened, say, overnight. So if the Hardley team are on, say, today, overnight, if there'd been burglaries or theft from motor vehicles or a rape, sexual offences down in Holbury, that would be a priority. So it really depends on what has happened overnight or over the last couple of days, if say they've been off duty for two days. So actually, in some ways, if you're not seeing a lot of them, that's good news for you, because that means the burglaries, theft from motor vehicles, the nasty sexual offences have not happened in your area. So they may be concentrating in other areas because that's where the crime has risen or is taking place. So it's not necessarily a bad thing when you don't see them. I know people get fixated on seeing police officers, but we also work at maybe late at night, or if we've got a series, we might be working from 10 till 4 in the morning. So like we did at the end, we had specific patrols in regards to drugs. So no one would be seeing the police then, but they're not seeing them for a reason, because they're working late at night. So it's not necessarily a bad thing if you don't see them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Rebecca Clark.
Very much, Chairman, and thank you very much, Helen, for your update. It was just a quick question, actually. Practically, are there any sort of resources that you could point us towards that sort of advertise the reporting service, the 101 service that's used on social media or anywhere else? I'm just thinking, you know, we're able to share stuff on Facebook and we're able to share things. If there's some sort of visual ways that we can use to just keep reminding people to report. Are there any sort of resources you could send to us that we might be able to use to do that? Or
I send out the newsletter once a month to obviously Malcolm, who sends out to you guys, and always says about the reporting, and we advertise ourselves. We don't want people to get into the issue of like reporting on Facebook. That is not a system.
Okay. I just wondered if there was anything sort of, you know, obviously we're all really, we understand that what we need to do is move all of this away from, as you say, Facebook, any other avenues, and get it all into 101. I'm just wondering, apart from that newsletter, is there anything else that we could employ as councillors to just try and help share that message? That was all really. Are there any other mechanisms or ways that we can help?
I mean, if you have your own newsletters or reports that you put out and meetings, just to reiterate that, we also do it ourselves on various other newsletters, beat reports that people do, social media we put out about reporting. So I think the crux of it is people just can't be bothered to do it, and because of the historical problems of 101, they very much think that's still the case, and occasionally it might be the case that it might take 10-15 minutes to be answered, but it's very rare now. So you know, I really don't know what else we can do, because the message is loud and clear from all different avenues and reports we do, and then I go to a lot of these meetings and sort of say the same to you guys, and I know, you know, you say the message as well, because I'm sure you don't want to be inundated with loads of emails about issues, and you feedback, please report it. So I can't think of anything else, sorry.
No, that's fine. I mean, I know a number of us do follow the Waterside Cops sort of social media pages, so we'll, each time there's something relevant on there, I'm sure we'll all do our very best to share it on. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us this evening. We'll move on to item 3B, which is just for noting, because the ACSO report has already been circulated. So that's just to note. Moving on to item 4, that's the minutes. And
I'll say goodbye then, if I've updated everyone and there's no more questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Okay,
Bye, Helen.
Thank you. Good evening, Helen. Thank you.
Bye.
Item 4, as you can see in the minutes, they will be looked at. We will agree those in the next meeting when we're meeting in person. So we move on to item 5, which are the chairman's announcements. First of all, may I extend congratulations to councillors Malcolm Wade and Alexis McAvoy for retaining their county council seats in the recent election. And also welcome and congratulate Gemma Lovell on being elected, duly elected as parish councillor for Balsash. I'd also like to say a big well done to Ashley Mutimir and her team for the fundraising pier walk in aid of the ferry. I'm also looking forward to the spring clean, which is going to be a limited affair this year because of the usual COVID-19 issues, but no less important. It has been a struggle to find sites that our dedicated parish maintenance team have not dealt with already, but we do have 2 that we will be visiting. There's also still time to participate in the government's consultation on introducing a deposit return scheme and the extended producer scheme for waste recycling. And I would encourage everyone to respond to that. That's going until the middle of next month, I believe. And that I will leave there for Chairman's announcements for this meeting. Thank you very much. So we're now going to move on to reports by county and district members. So Councillor Malcolm Wade, would you like to begin?
Thank you, Chairman. I have a very, very brief county report today, a somewhat longer district one though. It is with great privilege that I've been re-elected to serve the people of Hythe and Dibden once again on Hythe, Hampshire County Council, and I continue to work hard for our community and its people in that role as I do in the others I hold. I will be on the same committees in the area of children's services as I was before, and tomorrow I will be attending the annual County Council meeting live in the Aegeus Bowl, both legally by standing Act of Parliament and safely in a socially distanced manner. Thank you, Chairman. That concludes my very brief report. I'll send them all to Claire.
Thank you. Do we have a report from Councillor McAvoy? Okay, thank you. So we're going to move on to district reports and start. Do we have a report, Councillor Mark Clark?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I didn't realise I was on. No, apart from one thing, which was simply a communication with the council at the district council, with Matt Wisdom, regarding the continual broadcasting of council meetings. I was a bit concerned that we were moving backwards, back to audio only, but I'm reassured by his answer today that this is just interim until there is some arrangements worked out for all councillors to meet, and then hopefully will continue to be broadcast on YouTube. So for democratic accountability, that's it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. Councillor Rebecca Clark, do you have any district notes?
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. Yes, my first item's about meetings and COVID. Due to revised council meeting legislation, some NFDC meetings were brought forward to enable them still to be held virtually, and others were pushed back until after the 21st of June in anticipation for further unlocking of restrictions. As a result, a virtual council AGM was brought forward, at which my reappointment was confirmed as a member of the Planning and General Purposes and Licensing Committees. Cabinet, full council and committee meetings will now take place again in person from the 2nd of June in the council chamber. Task and finish groups, panels and other meetings not requiring decision making will continue to take place virtually wherever possible. As Councillor Mark Clark was just referring to, I've also mentioned that the audio of the meetings, as was previously the case, will be recorded, but now will be placed on YouTube, which unfortunately is nowhere near as user-friendly, alas, as the visual opportunity to see the chamber and or councillors that was provided to residents via the virtual meetings earlier in the pandemic, which I feel potentially, if it's continued, will be a retrograde step after the progress made in transparency, accessibility and improved democracy, which was expedited by the evolved arrangements enabling council business to continue throughout the crisis. I hope that NFDC will look at having a visual feed reinstated for YouTube viewing. I know that several of our Hythe and Dibden district councillors have also requested this. And it's unfortunate that residents can't at the moment watch their elected representatives at district council meetings and be clear about who is speaking and present at the meetings. It also makes rather dull viewing on YouTube, I would imagine. Presumably it's much more difficult to find the relevant parts of the discussion without visual clues. And if you don't want to watch an entire meeting, particularly difficult for planning, for example, which can last for many hours of the day. So hopefully they will take all of these comments on board and revisit this and get an established video link going. And also anyone attending a meeting could take a recording. So presumably the council itself, you know, can organise its own as an official record and share that. We had our district councillor Lib Dem AGM, at which Councillor Malcolm Wade was elected the opposition group leader and myself as the opposition group deputy leader. More locally, specifically, we've had an issue of, unfortunately, human waste at Shaw Road. And I wanted to thank the parish council staff who've helped to investigate some rather unpleasant deposits, shall we say, taking place behind the parking area along NFDC land on Shaw Road. This has now been passed on to New Forest District Council, and our ACSOs are also regularly checking on the area in their patrols. And if residents have any further information that may assist, can they please contact the ACSO service? And I just wanted to thank them for their work in investigating this, because obviously it hasn't been a very pleasant task. It was alerted to us first by volunteers who carry out several activities looking after the woodland for us. So, you know, I do thank them for that. And also, I know this is coming up with the litter pick as well, as our chairman also reiterated, but should you encounter this problem yourself, please don't, you know, attempt to clear it up or anything. Please contact the parish council and they will be able to advise how we can best deal with it. So thank you. There's been some casework which maybe Councillor Wade, Malcolm and Alex will also mention about the advertising at the Hubert Lodge development. I know there are ongoing discussions about this where we're trying to support residents with issues and concerns around this. It's proving to be challenging. I think it'd be fair to say that we hope that the units are sold as soon as possible so that all of the remaining hoarding and signage can be removed. Another thing that has popped up is the rarity of recycling locations for TerraCycle items. This was prompted initially by a New Forest District Council Facebook post about the opportunity to recycle used medicine packaging. However, when you use the map, it said that the closest place available to us was Totton. A few people said that Superdrug took them, but unfortunately Hythe Superdrug doesn't. The closest one is above Bar Branch in Southampton. So I wanted obviously to remind residents of our Go Green pages, which is where we're collating an inventory of locations and opportunities to recycle and to look after the environment in the local area. But also, you know, whenever we do find a gap in provision, we're doing all we can to encourage that gap to be filled and encourage people to use this parish as a site that is very green and environmentally friendly. I did find out why there is a lack of places, and it really is a limit on how much can be processed at the plant. So that reduces the amount of places that you can register to have as a collection site. And also they don't want it to be too close geographically together. So I know there are facilities at Leap Country Park, the TerraCycle and Cowshop Activity Centre, and unfortunately the only NFDC trial site is in Fordingbridge, which is obviously quite a trek from here. So I would recommend residents go on the TerraCycle.com website and they can find out what is recycled where before they potentially visit any of the other places that are available. And then the only other thing, there's been ongoing discussions of the benefits of verges versus parking bays, and it's quite it's not a quick issue to resolve, and residents' views are quite differing. So, and consensus and evidence of needs to be established. So it was just to mention that in those scenarios, obviously councillors are more than happy to assist residents if they want to pursue that and need any advice. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Sandra Delamere.
I've got nothing to report, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Councillor Stephanie Osborne.
On the 12th of May, I attended the car parking strategy group, and Malcolm's going to give a bit more of a report on that in a minute. Obviously, I've said enough about the problems with the police, which I'm very pleased to hear from our residents that they feel they can speak to me, and that they are also reporting to 101 at the same time now. Well, they tell me they are. I hope they are. I might as well do the other thing. I think it's outside bodies. As I attended the Hythe Hospital.
Can we move to outside bodies after we've done this, please? Thank you.
I have to bother coming back on again.
No, that's absolutely fine. Thank you. Councillor Alex Wade.
Thank you, Chairman. This council year, I'll be continuing on the same scrutiny panel covering the community and leisure portfolios. However, there's been a change in portfolio names due to the outsourcing of the leisure centres. The panel is now named Community Partnerships and Wellbeing Overview and Scrutiny Panel. Furthermore, I will sit on the Housing, Homelessness Overview and Scrutiny Panel as well this year. Elsewhere, there are new portfolio holders in the NFDC in Councillor Steve Davies and David Russell, who replace Alison Hoare, who has stepped down, and Barry Rickman, who will be sitting as an independent councillor. Our new chair for the year will be Councillor Derek Tipp. There are currently 2 ongoing appeals within the parish, against sites on North Road and Lime Close, which are awaiting decision. Local councillors have been contacted about advertising proposals on the Churchill site, as Councillor Rebecca Clark mentioned. We've offered guidance about how to raise views. Now, as the Chairman of Planning, I cannot comment until this application comes to the parish committee. However, the site itself is now approximately a quarter full, with current advertising remaining on site for 2 years or until all flats filled. So I echo Councillor Clark's statements about hoping that they are filled quite soon. The Capers site is to have building work start in June, and I've been advised that the site will be cleared at this time too. So that's very, very soon. This is welcome, as the site has remained with the planning permission for around a year now. And the proposal, I understand, is from a business owner elsewhere based in the parish who's looking to move his business to that site. The council, as previously mentioned, will be returning to live meetings in June following changes in government legislation, and will now be held at Appletree Court for committees, but no confirmation on how full council will work as of yet. Meetings will remain recorded on YouTube. I do have a question I intend to put forward at July's meeting about the review of the process from an NFDC basis, and what we can learn to continue from having virtual meetings in the last calendar year. For one, the saving of the environment, when some council meetings take less time than the journey for some councils to get there, really needs to be taken into consideration. People driving from Fording Bridge to Lyndhurst for a 20-minute meeting is not good for the council. It's not good for the Green Agenda, and it's something that I really think needs to be looked into, and many councillors can attend these meetings and accessible for the public as well a lot easier if there are opportunities to do it virtually. Again, like my colleagues, lots of casework in the previous month, including flooding, roads, parking, community safety and litter, among others. That's all.
Thank you. And Councillor Malcolm Wade, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I can't really comment on the Hubert Lodge thing, because that may well come to planning, and I am once again on the planning committee, so I won't be mentioning that. Right, Chairman. I attended the Parking Standards SPD, for those who are interested, or Supplementary Planning Document, and Task and Finish Group. Like with many things planning, it was both interesting and long-winded. A supplementary planning document which sets out guidance to developers and others in respect of both residential and non-residential developments, including car parking standards, minimum cycle parking standards, advice on the needs for transport assessments, threshold for site travel plans, and guidance for provision of disabled persons parking spaces. The parking standards SPD forms part of the local development framework for a new forest outside the national park and will assist in implementation of the adopted core strategies and policies in the emerging sites and development. Management development plan document. It includes a number of car and cycle spaces for public buildings, leisure facilities, private developments, plus travel plans for some institutions. Next will be in September, with officers to work on the next stage review, including any up-to-date government guidance. And I'm sure you're aware how good the government guidance is these days. Now, what is somewhat more important to us locally, I don't know whether you've noticed, the development at Solent Gateway Marchwood Military Port. I'll just do a little synopsis. Development of port is anticipated to provide up to 1,100 direct and indirect jobs, as well as jobs during the construction process. Marchwood Port has been designated as a tax site and customs site within the successful Solent Freeport bid, in addition to the expansion of the port itself. Currently, Marchwood only receive around 50 vessels on average over the 2019 to 2020 period. Under the proposals, this is expected to increase to around 200 vessels. With the increased use of the port, it's anticipated there will be greater use of the existing rail path. However, the port will continue to operate within the existing permitted rail capacity. Hold that thought. However, the port will continue. This means a considerable amount of cargo will go by road. The current HG movement is 12 an hour or 200 per day. However, the increase when the port is fully developed is expected to be an average of 49 HGV movements an hour or 685 HG movements in a day. Bearing in mind, and it says here, the vast majority of these movements have been the working day. So watch this space, because very soon it's going to be filled up. Now, we have 13,000 extra movements per day on the A326 due to the Forley development. A further 685 HGV movements because of the Solent Gateway. And this is even without APB moving their car transporters to Dibden Bay. The impact on our community and on the water side will be exceedingly significant of these three developments in tandem. And they will all start to come to fruition towards the end of this decade and the early 2030s. Well, probably won't bother some of us, but anyway, but the reality is certainly the younger ones will still be here, right? So this is not only do we need to keep a watching brief, members, but all of us on whatever level of council that we sit on, we need to fight and campaign for the quality of life and benefit for local people, so that whatever, because we're not going to stop this is going to happen, but we need the solution to benefit local people, existing local people, not just those who gain money from the developments in the docks and indeed the one down south, right? We need to make sure that whatever solution gets benefits our people, not just the developers. And I can't stress that enough for all of you. And whatever you get involved in relation to this, the benefit in local people must be overriding emphasis in which we operate in. And finally, Chairman, one small point. Right? As Councillor Clark mentioned, I have been elected leader of the Liberal Democrat Group on New Forest District Council to support and help my colleagues and help show the people of New Forest there is another way to run the district council. There will be another way to run the district council. So watch this space too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll move on then, please, to outside bodies. I'll kick off for this one. So last night I attended the Twinning Association meeting and was given a warm welcome by the group. I hope to be able to publicise some of their various activities during the course of the year. There'll be no exchange visit this summer for obvious reasons, but planning has commenced for a visit in 2022. The annual general meeting is on the 15th of July at 6:45 for 7 in the Community Centre, Brinton Lane. New members are always welcome. Thank you. Do we have any other outside body? Thank you, Councillor Rebecca Clark.
Thanks very much, Chairman. Yes, just to thank officers for their assistance in preparing the item for future parish newsletter regarding the Hythe Dibden Woodland Group, which the same calling has gone out via Hythe Pier, and there's now a newly established Facebook page. The group has already received some interest from volunteers, so that's fantastic. It's all working, so that's brilliant. So hopefully they'll be able to re-establish a committee and get back to full strength again. Families Matter, I'm hoping to similarly arrange for information to go in a newsletter that coincides with the beginning of the school year. So I'm meeting with Julie across the start of June for a catch up and to do a little bit of work on this, because Families Matter obviously haven't been able to conduct all of their activities as normal, again for obvious reasons during the pandemic, but they have been doing so much in the community throughout the pandemic, and it will be lovely to sort of support them in getting the message out as they hopefully go back to a more normal year of events kicking off at the beginning of the new year in September. So thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Alan Fairhead.
Thank you, Chairman. Quick report on the pier. The board are still looking at ways to raise funds to do the major repairs to the pier. The end of the pier has been temporarily covered up to protect it from further deterioration. On the landward end of the pier, my guys at the shed have now finished rebuilding the first carriage, and the gentleman who has to sign it off is more than pleased with the quality of work and the finish of the work. We've also repaired the body work because the guys in their workshop have already done the mechanicals. We've done the body work of the spare engine and painted that, and there will be this Saturday 10 o'clock the naming ceremony for the engine and a bit of a celebration going on between 10 and 1 o'clock. And I understand that two, I think, great-grandchildren of the guy who put the train on the pier 99 years ago will be down there for the naming ceremony. And at the same time, the smaller of the two ferries will be back in use this Saturday, and for which partly I congratulate absolutely Ashley for the fundraising she's done. The small one will be in use because the big one is still over on the Isle of Wight finishing its servicing. But say the HPHA are still looking at ways to raise funds so that we can get the far end of the pier all repaired and made really serviceable again. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Councillor Stephanie Osborne.
On Saturday, I attended the Healthy Haven Garden Centre at the Waterside Medical Centre there, where they've opened the garden for us to see what's going to be available to the public. So the clerk, Sue, and I went and attended it, and we met lots of people and lots of interesting ideas that are coming forward, like plant sales, and they're going to be, I'm going to be talking to Councillor Rebecca Clark about the plant sales and the idea for Team Wilder, where people can just go up and buy the right plants in the boxes already prepared by them. So we'll be talking to those in the next couple of weeks about that. The garden will be open for all members of the parish, apparently, to go, just to sit there and have a quiet moment and enjoy what they're growing, the flowers, the plants, the fruit and veg. I think there was up there, trees, everything. So there's a lot of volunteers that started off with just one lady this time last year, and they've now grown to 15. So it's another thing for the community. Yesterday I attended the Hythe Hospital committee, and that was with Helen Barnett of the Hampshire, Southampton and Isle of Wight CCG. Things are really moving at the moment, as we can all probably gather from all the fences and things around there. And inside, we are hoping that it will be open in May 22. Meanwhile, the memorial plaque is almost finalised, and we're hoping that there will be a chance to go and have an open day to see that, and perhaps have some sort of memorial before November even. So that will be where the main gathering of the parish hopes to be in the future. And they chose a stone yesterday, which is Portland stone. And it all looks really nice. It's going to be as big as the front panel door. I think that's about all at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will move on then, please, to as we have no questions for the public forum, we will move on to questions from councillors to councillors. Can we try and keep this as brief as we can, as we had quite an extended item earlier on this evening? Thank you. Do we have any questions?
Yes, Chairman, I have two, and Mark Clark as well has one. So my first question is to Councillor Malcolm Wade, or as I say, or Stephanie Osborne. As part of the Hythe Hospital stakeholder group, can you confirm if there's going to be any mental health provision and a facility to support mental health well-being and make appointments for local residents who otherwise would have to go further afield? And if not, can you ask if any provision can be considered by the commissioning group? Thank you.
We are definitely requesting that. Obviously, things are in the early days. Malcolm may know a bit more than me, and he can say in a minute what he knows, but we're definitely requesting that child mental health is addressed there for people that find it very difficult to travel. We're asking for as many facilities for our locals as we can in there. So hopefully it is going to be an improvement for us with the travelling over to all these distant hospitals. Malcolm, what do you think?
When the original design of the hospital, not the design that's actually going to be built, was put in place, they worked out what services are going to put in there. Well, clearly when the design changed, it was reduced a little bit. That changed. The idea, as Stephanie has said, is that it's a clinic to serve local people for blokes, a whole plethora of issues. Mental health and CAMS, that's was been mentioned, is particularly important at the moment because they have such a huge backlog. But they have millions of extra funding to try and reduce this backlog and recruit more people over the next few years, and put the resources in to deal with this, and not wanting to elongate the conversation too long. The reason why this is so important is that as every year we discover more and more issues that fall into the mental health and CAMS bracket, both for young people and older ones. So it is becoming a bigger, and particularly since the pandemic, a bigger priority. And we will be battling to get as many facilities in that building as we can to help local people so you haven't got to go to Lymington or Southampton.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mark Clark.
Hello, sorry, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, it's actually a question for Councillor Malcolm Wade. He, like me, presumably is aware of the transport briefing, which is due to take place on Thursday, the 17th of June, in advance of the public consultation. And I just wonder whether this information from that briefing will be available to the parish councillors as well, but also in reference to his earlier comment regarding Marchwood, whether that will be part of that transport briefing.
I actually don't know what's going to be part of the transport briefing, to be honest. But we had a meeting sometime last year about this, and it has to be part of it because it's part of the development in the water side. We have the Forley development, we have Solent Gateway, and then we have APB on Dibden Bay. So it will, I'm sure it will be, and it will come up in that. The actual details of it have not been released. The email that you will have seen is exactly the same as the one I got with a link in it. So yeah, but whatever happens, whoever goes there will be, I'm sure, bringing a report back to this parish council, and I, as the county council, will certainly be asking the county council to give this parish council as much up-to-date information as possible on this, and I will expect you all to be nagging me to make sure I do that, but I will do that, because as I said previously, this is so important to our people.
So there's no leaks for about the Waterside Railway then?
Well, it'll be on the plan. You know, I wish I knew. I don't know anymore. I'm pretty certain that that's going to be supported.
Thank you. Councillor Alex Wade.
Is the chairman aware that the Community Spirit and Environmental Champion Awards for this beautiful part of the world are still running? We have had record number of nominations so far after a year where, frankly, the community have gone above and beyond more than they do normally, and that's a high bar to set. That for councillors, anyone watching, any residents to nominate someone, there's still plenty of time, and information is on the website for either award or both awards. Other than parish staff and parish councillors, you can nominate anyone from the community or who has done something that has benefited the people of Hythe and Dibden. So please keep sharing, nominating. There are so many deserving people of all ages in our community who I think should be acknowledged. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we've come to the end of the questions there, so we're going to move on, please, to the Planning Committee. So I'll hand over to Councillor Alex Wade.
Chairman, dispensation, please. Planning 21-10441. It shows us 10 Melwood Road. It should be 10 Melwood Road West, and it's almost opposite my house.
Thank you, Councillor Fairhead.
So obviously I didn't make comment on it.
Thank you, Councillor Fairhead. Yes, thank you, planning. Again, thank you very much for officers and for councillors for helping get the information and their views to me so I could send the comments for officers to pass on to the district. I'm going to go page by page. Councillor Malcolm Wade is a member of New Forest District Council's Planning Committee. I believe he's no longer a member of the Parish Planning Committee, but for this meeting, I did note his declaration of interest. Myself and Councillor Malcolm Wade did not comment on application 20-11193 and 20-11194, as the property is next door to a former councillor's house who myself and Malcolm were colleagues of. At that time, Councillor Osborne did not comment on application 21-10599 as it was opposite her house. And lastly, Councillor Lovell did not comment on application 21-10554 due to living opposite the application site. Bit of a theme there, guys. So we're going to go through it page by page. And if you have any challenges to what's been said, please let me know. So page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Lastly, there was a notice of an appeal, and as a result of the notice of the appeal, the council reconsidered the application. The council supports the New Forest District Council in its refusal of the application for the reasons stated, and that was for Autumn Lodge in North Road. The New Forest District Council supported the parish's original views, which were we did not support this proposal. So we wait and see. Thank you very much. I propose the planning comments to the committee, and I thank everyone once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item 11, which we've already alluded to earlier on this evening. This is to note Councillor Lovell declaration of acceptance of office has been received and duly signed at the Grove, and so we can now appoint Councillor Lovell to the committees. Have you got your choice of committees that you wish to join, Gemma?
Yeah, so it was the planning committee and outside spaces.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Do we need to just note that, Sue, or do we need to take a vote on that?
I think, Claire, could you remind me, are there actually 2 spaces on those 2 committees?
There is on planning, but is it amenities the other one? I don't think there is. I'd have to check.
I thought climate had a space 3. I didn't think it was amenities.
Climate and personnel are ones that have got spaces.
I don't know.
Councillor Wade.
Yes, Chairman. My understanding is that when we divvied up the committee spaces prior to the election, we left 1 on planning and 1 on amenities for the successful councillor. There will be space on climate as well, which is a very, very important committee, as that deals with the future. That's just for information, Chairman.
Right, I'm a little bit confused now, I have to admit. So we will need to confirm this for the minutes, won't we?
We will, yes. Thank you, Philip. We will confirm it. Thank you, Gemma, for highlighting that. We'll go back, double check that there is a space, and then we'll appoint you to those.
Yeah. Sean Cullen and myself have RTSs.
Thank you. Councillor Sean Cullen. You're muted, Sean.
That is a blessing. I was just going to reiterate what Councillor Wade had said, was that we had left 2 spaces for whoever was the new councillor. So there shouldn't be an issue with Gemma taking those 2 spots.
No, that's right.
Thank you.
And Chairman, just to reiterate, in the draft minutes from the meeting held on May the 6th, it's the amenities committee shows Chairman and Vice Chair ex officio, then councillors Rebecca Clark, Sandra Delamere, Matthew Kitcher, Simon Lodge, Stephanie Osborne and Malcolm Wade, and therefore that makes 8 plus 1 vacancy according to the draft minutes shown on ModGov.
Brilliant, thank you very much. That's confirmed, and a big sigh of relief all round. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex.
Excellent. Right, we're moving to item 12, which is the consultation on local authority remote meetings. And I'm rather hoping I can hand this over to Sue now.
What I would say about this is that there seems to be a lot of various differing opinions. I would normally suggest that a council gives a response as a corporate body, but I think you might spend a couple of hours debating this one, and I'm not sure you come to the conclusion at the end of it. So what I would suggest is for everyone to complete the consultation and make a response individually. That would be my suggestion, because I can't see the council agreeing on a formal response. That would be, what I would think from what I've heard so far.
I think that makes perfect sense. I think people's responses to this are going to very much reflect their personal circumstances. So I think it's that would be a sensible way to approach that. Do we have any RTSs on that?
Malcolm.
Councillor Malcolm Wade.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I am going to propose that we do this individually. We have been through a period in time that none of us were prepared for. None of us totally have lived through it all differently. Everybody's been affected to a greater or less extent. Whether our lives have been changed, we've lost loved ones. And that sort of impact, because we are human beings and everyone in the parish council is a volunteer, right? That everybody should be allowed to express their individual feeling on this. A corporate approach, I don't think is appropriate for this. I totally understand why Sue said it would be good to have a corporate approach, but because of the human impact on us as individuals, and I know what loss is as much as anybody, if not more so, I think an individual response is best. And I would propose that we do that to formalise the suggestion that you and Sue said, Chairman.
Thank you. And I believe Councillor Alex Wade, you have a point?
Yes, I was actually. I appreciate what's been suggested and we'll go for it as it appears to be the majority approach. I personally would have preferred a collective response because I think speaking as a collective shows more power as a council. I actually don't think there's much disagreement generally on this as possibly suggested, because obviously a lot of the reasons that we're going to go back to effectively the status quo has been taken out of our hands, and I think we all agree on that. What we've learned from this council, and I'm going to speak from a purely personal and slightly selfish perspective, is that it's probably made me more accessible for council meetings. It's made me a more in tune councillor, and it's been probably able to balance what sort of my professional, my personal, and being a councillor arguably easier, for bigger councils as well as the parish. And I think it shows that for this council to move forward in the next 4 years and beyond that, and to have a diversity of councillors, having this virtual approach or a hybrid approach has to be considered as the way forward. I don't think it is. A lot of people like to have meetings live in person for the theatre of it, and these meetings can often focus on what matters, which is the discussion and debate of the issues, rather than the people who like to sort of elongate and create almost a theatrical sense of it, which I think the only people who like that are councillors rather than the public. And I also think you have to take into account staff who don't always live in the parish that they work in. I think everyone should comment on this, whether it's collectively or not. It's extremely important, and all of your views matter. It's been quite a year, and I would just like to pay tribute to all the councillors and officers for what has been a challenging year, and I think we've all done very, very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Alex Wade. Councillor Rebecca Clark.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, mine was just a couple of notes. If we do opt to reply to the consultation individually, could we still ensure that we respond to say that that was our decision as a council to do, just so that it doesn't, when it's looked at externally, it doesn't just look as though we haven't responded. But also, is it possible maybe if we had a sort of if we limited ourselves to a certain word count, that we could all just supply thoughts towards it individually as a combined document as our parish council submission? Is that also a possibility, rather than just all agreeing on which is, by the sounds of it, and for all of the very good reasons already argued, is going to be nigh on impossible to find a consensus answer? Could we not reflect the feelings of the individual councillors as a combined submission? Possibly?
We can certainly put it to the. I'm very happy to put it to the vote if it's the feeling among councillors that they would like to have a joint response, either a joint response that they sign up to, or one that is an amalgamation of different responses sent as one. We can do that. That's not a problem. So if you've got a proposer and a seconder, we'll put that to the vote.
Yes, if that helps to sort of move this along a little, I'm happy to propose that we each submit a sort of word count limit of our own individual reflections to be combined as a parish submission.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder?
I will second that Sandra, Alan and Malcolm also have RTSs.
Okay, can we go to Councillor Sandra Delamere?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, there's one or two of the questions there that I'd actually value having a bit of discussion with my colleagues about. I mean, one in particular was, speaking personally, I think there's lots of advantages to having hybrid and or virtual meetings, but whether in certain councils, one party could sort of squash a certain amount of accountability in that. I'd value the discussion about that. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. And we've got Councillor Alan Fairhead next, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, for the benefit of our viewing audience, could I ask that you, good as Rebecca's proposal was, give a brief outline of what the proposals are that we're talking about, so our wider audience know what we're talking about?
I'll just double check with Sue. Sue, is the consultation document available on the public website?
The agenda, yes, it is available in public. The agenda is on our website, and there's a link to the this .gov government consultations local authority remote meetings call for evidence. If you type all that into Google, you will actually get to that consultation. So it's a publicly available document.
Right. Thank you.
My worry is it's rather too lengthy to go through all of that tonight, but certainly it's possible for interested members of the public to access that.
Thank you, Chairman.
No problem at all. I think it's Councillor Malcolm Wade next.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
thank you.
I made that proposition at the beginning because I knew there was a diversity of opinion. I haven't specifically looked at the consultation document yet because I wanted to see what the end product of this was, this discussion. The first point I want to make is ask Sue a question. Will we be able to do individual responses, or are there a set number of questions that they require specific responses to? Because if I totally understand Rebecca's point, let's show that we've all thought about it from our diverse directions and what it is. But is that practical to give a diverse response to this rather than an individual diverse response?
Again, that's going to be a personal view. I would say that what the government is looking for is as many views as possible. But if one corporate body gives 13 different views of 13 different standpoints, I don't know how useful that's going to be, because if you're in central government and you say Hythe Dibden Parish Council has the view of X, well, if X are 13 different views, how is that useful to represent Hythe Dibden? I can't see what's going to come out of it. If you're replying as a corporate body, you normally have a view rather than 13 different views, if you see what I mean.
Chairman, can I come back to it? I totally get that, but you see the reason why, if we sent it as an individual, that is a view. A diversity of view is not reflective of us as a body politic because it's diverse. The fundamental is, as we come out of this horrendous period, our society, our community, and the people we represent are also coming out of it. And they're coming back to a relative new norm, right? And a lot of that is getting back to what they're familiar and comfortable with, and in a safe manner, because let's assume we're going to do this in a safe manner. And what has always fundamentally caused me a lot of inner looking at self of this is, if we're representing people who've got to go to work, go back to the shops, go back to this, go back to that, go back to do all the things they did before, because that's what they're going to do. And there is some difference because a lot of people will work from home. Why do we not reflect that in our behaviours? And that's it, because I represent the people of Hythe and Dibden, and they're getting in their cars to go to work on. Some are working from home. No, that is true. But a lot of them getting work out, they're going to the shops, they're doing all the stuff that everyone else does. And Alex talks about us being more representative of the community. Well, actually, if we stay in a bubble, we're not actually being representative of the community. And I know it's convenient, and there will always be Zoom meetings because they are so convenient, so easy. That will never, Zoom or Teams or whatever, that will never go away. We have affected a change, but it's that fundamental principle of representing the people we represent by our behaviours should be aligned with them. And I take it other people have different views, and because of this, I don't think we'll be able to get. And I totally understand why Rebecca suggested, and Sue has just always confirmed it with me. I don't think we'll be able to get to do the document justice if we have a diverse opinion. We'll either take a vote and we all agree on something, or we do it individually. And I suggested individually because all of us are different and have had different impacts to this. That was all, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Mark Clark.
Can I just raise one issue in anybody wanting to make a particular contribution is the matter of the hybridisation, but then the voting rights within that hybridisation. And I point up towards, and in discussions with the District Council today, Cheltenham Borough Council. Cheltenham Borough Council decided they were going to, obviously, clearly necessary to follow the letter of the law, which they duly did. And within a very large space, they brought everybody in from the Borough Council to sit. But within the meeting itself, everybody was online. Now, there were one or two people that were unable to make the meeting. They were either shielding or at risk. So they remained outside. They were able to take part in the meeting, but they weren't allowed to vote because obviously they weren't within the building. So that issue needs to be resolved one way or another. And I just, if people do make a contribution, it's that clarification of if hybridisation does go ahead, voting rights, just to make sure that, everybody has a right to vote on a certain way, however they choose. Thank you.
Good point. Thank you very much, Councillor Clark. Councillor Alex Wade.
2 points. Firstly, I was going to propose that if you wanted to, all councillors could go through the document, send me their views, I will collate them and I can answer it on behalf of the parish council, so we can represent all views but have one core response. Because I think Sue made an excellent point. What sort of consultation is when you get 30 different responses from a parish council, and an overall view could be represented by one response. What I will say is that with regards to how we should do this moving forward, some people have to go to work. Some people, our maintenance team, have to go to the parks, have to go to the green spaces to do their jobs. This has been proven. We do not have to leave our office rooms, our lounge, wherever we have our meetings. And I take Malcolm's point on board, but I don't think the public care as long as we're doing our jobs as councillors, dealing with casework, making decisions. And if we can do it from home, safe driving, officers maybe can do it from home and save them journeying from out, then we should. The people who are working from home can work from home. Those who can't, cannot. But if we as councillors can do our duty for meetings, and we're just talking meetings, not everything else, based virtually, make them accessible for those who are at risk, who are shielding, and who might have to be shielding during possible future lockdowns in winter months, because we don't know what's going to happen in the next sort of year or so, then I think we have to consider it and remember that for this council to properly represent the community, we should remove any barrier to anyone wanting to be a candidate or a councillor and be more representative that way. I'm not comfortable with people not having voting rights because they're not at a certain location. I think hybridisation and voting rights, Councillor Mark Clark is spot on. And Malcolm Wade does make a valid point about not being seen to represent the community and follow where they are. But I would say those who don't need to go back to work in person haven't, and we've proven we haven't, and we've done a brilliant job. But I would still propose. I'll finish. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Can I move to Councillor Sean Cullen first, Rebecca, and then I'll come to you as you've already spoken on the topic. Is that all right? Thank you.
Yeah,
Councillor Sean Cullen.
Okay, I wasn't going to say anything because it's actually turning into a debate now, isn't it? Which we weren't going to have. I think the one important point is the fact that we've noticed we've actually had more engagement with the public through the Zoom meeting than otherwise. And considering that normally the appalling turnout at council elections, anything we can do to encourage people to participate in engaging with politics has got to be a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll move to Councillor Rebecca Clark to sum up, as it was your proposal.
Yes. I was just going to make the point that, you know, this is a very important issue and a really important consultation. And having looked at the consultation online, as with many consultations, it funnels you through a series of questions which don't necessarily allow us the opportunity to express all of the things that we each individually want to express about this particular matter. So I'm not so sure that it has to be an either or. You know, we can all, you know, answer the questions that are given to us, but I don't see any problem with us also combining our responses. It's a government consultation. We could even send a letter from the parish council with amalgamation of these responses to our local MP, asking him to confirm that it's been received and will be taken into account. I don't think it needs to be either or. If the consultation doesn't fit what we want to express on behalf of our residents, then I feel we should, you know, engage with the consultation, but also do what we need to get all of our views across. So we can do both.
Right. I think in that case, we've got quite a clear plan here then. So if I can just summarise, what I'm getting is that it's still the intention that individual councillors will respond if they so wish to the online questionnaire. But if you also would wish to coordinate your response through Councillor Alex Wade, then you will vote in favour of this. So can we just have a general feeling of who would like to adopt Councillor Clark's proposal? Okay, we've got. I'm taking it, Councillor Clark, you're also wishing to yeah. Right, well that's a majority of councillors then. So thank you, Councillor Alex Wade, for agreeing to do a composite. And then I think once that's done, we will then decide what the best way of sending that would be, whether it's through to our MP or whether that's direct to someone in government. Thank you, councillors. Right, I think we'll move on then.
Chairman,
sorry,
just quickly, Alex, have you got a deadline in mind for us giving you our responses, please?
Excellent question, Councillor Delamere. As this deadline is June 17th, I would like a deadline of a week before, please, June the 10th.
good point, thank you. Okay, so we're moving on now, please, to item 13, which is Operation London Bridge. And I will definitely pass this one over to Sue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chairman. I really don't have much to say on it. The document in the pack is quite self-explanatory, and that was really sent out from SLCC, obviously after Prince Philip's death and what happened there. And it's updating many councils' procedures as to what things they have in place, you know, should the Queen, you know, the same thing happen. So it's really having the procedure in place in the background. But again, you know, we have to bear in mind that even if we have the procedure, you know, I hope we don't get another COVID, but we don't know what's going to be around at the time to prevent, you know, that procedure being able to happen. So it's just having this in the background, really, as something to follow, you know, should the worst happen.
So we are simply noting that, aren't we, Sue?
Well, I think that when I came here, there was a policy document as to what would happen if a senior member of the royal family passed away. And this one is specifically, you know, for the Queen. And I suggest we keep that, you know, on file and follow that and annotate it as necessary for our council.
Thank you. So we'll move on, please, to item 14, and I believe I'm passing this over to you, Sean.
Hello. Can I just say that is everyone in agreement with that?
Oh, I'm sorry, I've rushed ahead there. Can you give me some indication of agreement that everyone's happy with that? Just wave at me or something like that.
Okay, lots
Yeah.
of praise received. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Chairman, sorry, excuse me, I've got an RTS about this.
Oh, I was going to move on.
Yeah, sorry.
Is it urgent?
Yeah, it is, because
All right, then.
I believe this council has formally agreed a process in the past council, and unless we unagree it, we can't do something different. And I asked, perhaps Sean might remember this, because I definitely remember this coming up for discussion, all the royals and what might happen. And I'm sure we actually agreed something. Now, we happily change it. I'm not saying not following the Sue suggestion, that's fine. But I think from a propriety perspective, do we not have to unchange it, if you pardon the expression?
Can I reply to that?
Yes, please do.
When Prince Philip did pass away, the staff who were in the office passed me the documentation as to what you had agreed previously. I've looked at the new protocol document which has come from SLCC, and it doesn't contravene anything you have already decided. So it's merely updating it for the next royal, really.
That's fine. Thank you. You've solved the question. That's all.
Councillor Sean Cullen. You're muted, Sean.
Sorry, Sue's already answered that. Yeah, from what I read in the documents, it tallied with what my memory of was the protocol was anyway. So thank you for that, Sue.
Thank you. Right, are we able to move on to item 14 now? Any? Yes, thank you. So this is over to Sean Spencer, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Very briefly, Marcus has produced quite a comprehensive report, really, but basically what it says is had a tender process. The cheaper vehicle, which members chose to progress, was upon inspection unsuitable for purpose. So this is a procedural, really. It's to buy the mower that was tendered for. It was dearer, but is completely suitable for purpose. The report's on page 11, Chairman. Happy to take any questions from members if necessary.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Just double check RTS.
Malcolm Wade has an RTS.
Right, Councillor Malcolm Wade, please.
No, that was an old one. I'm happy to go with the recommendation that we had from the officers. I haven't got an article.
Can we take it as read if there are no objections that we will go with the proposal? Are all councillors happy with that? Yep, I'm seeing thumbs up and nods of agreement there. So, do we need anything more formal, or is that good enough?
No, that's fine. If everyone's in agreement, we'll progress that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Members.
Okay, moving on to item number 15. Now, 15A and B are simply for noting. 15C, then if there are any questions, we'll take questions with that, but we'll go through in order. So can councillors note 15A? And can we note 15B? Which of course you've all read prior to the meeting. And would you like to just give a little bit of background to CSU before we question or approve?
I think, thank you, Philip. I think generally the accounts have been paid because we have to pay the bills, otherwise you get late payment fines. But I'm happy to take any questions, and either myself or Sean, I'm sure we'll be able to answer anything. In fact, for the future, if you have any questions on the accounts or don't know what something is, just please email in. We can help you by email too.
I would say that, I mean, obviously I've been countersigning on a regular basis, as has Malcolm and now Alex. And if there is something I don't understand, I email Beverly, who gets back to me almost immediately with a clear response. So I would thoroughly recommend, if you're not sure, because there are sometimes words, terms, or whatever that you think, what's that about? So that's really helpful. So I would commend the thoroughness with which she does her work, and how quickly she responds to queries.
Thank
I
you.
don't believe we have any questions. So are we happy to accept that, to approve that? Can I see signs of agreement? Or thank you very much, councillors. So we're happy to approve that. And unless I've missed anything, I believe that is the last item. No one's contradicting me there, so that's good news. So I'd like to thank the officers and all the councillors for your input in the meeting this evening, and have a very good evening.
Well done, Chairman.
Yeah, well done.
Excellent
Thank
job.
you.
Brilliant job,
Well
Philip.
done.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Good night. God bless.
Bye.